Sell these 5 things before retiring. A few weeks ago, I published a video discussing 5 specific things that I believe people should consider purchasing before they enter retirement. The response to that video was truly remarkable, with an overwhelming wave of positive feedback, confirming that many viewers resonated deeply with the advice. Most of the comments and messages I received were incredibly kind and appreciative. However, amidst all that positivity, I did receive one particular email that stood out. The sender, using all capital letters for emphasis, wrote directly, "Stop buying, start selling." This abrupt yet direct message initially made me ponder if they were discussing the volatile nature of the stock market, perhaps advising a shift from accumulating stocks to divesting them. But no, as I read further, it became clear they were directly addressing my recent video on items to buy before retirement. And you know what? In their uniquely blunt and straightforward manner, they had undeniably stumbled upon a profound truth. As you approach the significant life transition of retirement, the focus isn't solely on what new things you might acquire or invest in. Equally, if not more important, is the conscious decision of what you choose to let go of, what you release from your life. So, for our conversation today, I want to delve into 5 distinct categories of things you really should consider selling or otherwise divesting yourself of before you embark on your retirement journey. But before we dive into that list, allow me to quickly introduce myself. My name is Kevin Lum, and I am a certified financial planner. The core mission of this channel is dedicated to guiding and empowering 1 million people to achieve a worry-free retirement, living their golden years with peace of mind. Now, before I jump into the specifics of today's list, I want to share a brief personal story that I believe will help set the stage and provide a meaningful framework for this entire discussion. When I was just a boy, my father served as a pastor, and occasionally I would accompany him on his visits to parishioners from our church community. There was one elderly woman in particular whom we frequently visited. Honestly, as a child, I often dreaded these trips to her house because her residence was an extraordinary sight, packed to the very brim, from the polished wooden floors to the lofty ceilings, with an astonishing array of possessions. Every nook and cranny seemed to hold a piece of her history, a testament to everything she had ever acquired. What particularly imprinted itself upon my young mind were the towering stacks of old newspapers and magazines, meticulously piled high, some dating back many years, creating veritable paper mountains throughout the rooms. I remember always wondering, with a child's innocent curiosity, what she intended to do with all of them. Eventually, as often happens, she reached a point in her life where she needed to move into a care home. My dad and I went to visit her there. Upon visiting her there, I was struck by the stark contrast. The entire facility was impeccably spotless, and her own room, in particular, was remarkably sparse, almost minimalist in its arrangement. On that specific day, feeling a sudden surge of boldness, much to my father's slight embarrassment and quiet shushing, I turned to her and asked directly, "Do you ever miss all of your stuff?" She paused for a moment, her gaze thoughtful, and then, after a moment of thoughtful contemplation, she replied with a gentle smile, "Well, some days I might have a fleeting thought or two about them, but overwhelmingly, most days, I simply feel an incredible sense of freedom and lightness." That profound answer resonated with me and has remained etched in my memory for decades. It's a truth that echoes throughout our lives. We spend so much time accumulating things, gathering possessions, and surrounding ourselves with stuff. And while the majority of us might not live amidst literal towers of old newspapers, the reality for many of us is that we frequently possess far more than we genuinely need or even truly use. And often, these very things that we find ourselves unable or unwilling to part with begin to exert a profound and often unrecognized emotional and physical weight upon us. This is precisely why retirement can be such an extraordinary gift. It's one of those rare and precious moments in life when you have a unique opportunity to truly hit the reset button on your life, to consciously step back and to genuinely ask yourself, what do I really want to keep? What do I truly desire to take with me into this exciting next stage of my life? So, yes, there are certainly worthwhile investments and purchases to consider before you retire. But as we focus on today's topic, I want to talk about 5 specific things you should seriously consider selling or simply letting go of before you embark on your retirement journey. And just as a heads up, I have a feeling that the third item I'm going to discuss might just ruffle a few feathers, or at the very least, spark some incredibly engaging and thought-provoking conversations. So, I'll be particularly interested to hear your thoughts and opinions on that one in the comments section. Let's begin with perhaps the most obvious candidate, the house that's too big. As you transition into retirement, you may find that you no longer require that expansive 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house that once suited your family perfectly. The children are grown and have long since moved out, perhaps even established their own homes. The once bustling guest room may have sat unused and collecting dust since, say, 2019. Opting for a smaller home can lead to significant financial benefits, including considerably lower maintenance expenses, reduced property taxes that ease the burden on your budget, and significantly lower utility bills. Beyond the financial relief, it can also unlock a profound sense of freedom and simplicity in your daily life. But the advantages extend even further. By downsizing your primary residence, you could potentially release a substantial portion of your home equity. For many retirees, their home represents one of their largest and most valuable assets. Tapping into that home equity could translate directly into increased cash flow, providing the funds for those long-awaited travel plans you've dreamed of, or allowing you to invest the proceeds for a more robust future income stream, or even building a significant legacy to leave for future generations. Furthermore, there's a significant and positive ripple effect that extends far beyond just your housing expenses. By lowering your overall cost of living, simply because you're no longer spending nearly as much time and money on maintaining a large home, you might find you don't need to withdraw as much from your traditional IRA or 401k. This strategic move, in turn, could potentially help you maintain a lower tax bracket in retirement, saving you even more in the long run. Now, it's important to acknowledge that this advice isn't universally applicable to everyone. Many people absolutely adore their homes. Indeed, I know a great many of you watching this channel cherish your homes and harbor a strong desire to age gracefully within those familiar walls, perhaps even hoping to be carried out feet first, as the saying goes. However, I've also had numerous clients and engaged in countless conversations with people who shared a different perspective. What once felt like a dream house, a sanctuary of comfort and joy, gradually begins to feel more like an overwhelming burden. This transformation often occurs as you age, as the sheer number of things to upkeep, maintain, and inevitably fix seems to multiply. I think one of the most surprising aspects of my own experience as a homeowner has been the sheer volume of things that can and do break in any given year. Sometimes even in my personal life, entirely separate from the considerations of retirement, it sometimes feels as though simply maintaining my house has become a significant part-time occupation in itself. So, as you contemplate what responsibilities and assets you might let go of, downsizing your home as you enter retirement should certainly be a top consideration. Next, you might want to consider the fate of that second, or in some cases, even third car. Your second or third car. If your daily commute is no longer a part of your life, if the grind of driving to and from work is a distant memory, do you truly need more than one vehicle in your household? When you make the decision to sell an extra car, you immediately begin to reap several financial benefits. You reduce your car insurance premiums, you eliminate annual registration fees, and you significantly cut down on ongoing maintenance costs, all in addition to freeing up capital from an increasingly depreciating asset that is simply idling, taking up space in your driveway or garage. In retirement, convenience certainly matters, and I fully understand that. For a 2-person household, it often feels inherently easier and more practical to have 2 cars. However, so does healthy cash flow. And for what it's worth, my wife and I have successfully navigated living in the expansive and often car-dependent city of Los Angeles with just 1 car for the past 5 years. Our primary motivation for this decision has been to significantly reduce our overall costs. While we might eventually reach a breaking point and need to acquire a second vehicle, particularly as our daughter grows older and her activities expand, I believe our experience demonstrates that if we can manage with one car in a city like Los Angeles, it's certainly a doable option for many. It has certainly required a fair bit of careful planning and negotiation between my wife and me, and I want to emphasize that it's not for everyone. Not every household needs to reduce to a single vehicle, but as you begin to envision what this next stage in life looks like, and as you meticulously work to make your retirement budget sustainable, downsizing your home and potentially transitioning to a single car are two of the most effective strategies you can employ to significantly reduce your monthly expenses. This becomes even more critical as the cost of car insurance continues to climb steadily. By having only one vehicle, you actively help bolster your cash flow, providing yourself with more discretionary money to spend on experiences and things you genuinely value and enjoy during your retirement years. So, to recap, the first major consideration is downsizing your home. The second is potentially selling one of your vehicles. Now, the third item on our list is a bit of a conceptual departure from the more tangible assets we've been discussing: overly complex or high-fee investments. This particular item isn't about a physical object like a house or a car, but its importance to your financial well-being in retirement is just as profound, if not more so. As you transition into retirement, some of the things you might want to seriously think about selling or letting go of include that old variable annuity with its multiple, often hidden, layers of fees that silently erode your returns, or perhaps that whole life insurance policy that your well-meaning cousin sold you a quarter century ago and on which you've been diligently paying premiums for 25 years. We're also talking about mutual funds that consistently charge over 1% per year in fees, or that private equity fund that inconveniently sends you complex K-1 tax forms every March, adding unnecessary administrative burden. Not only do these types of investment instruments frequently come with exorbitant fees that eat into your hard-earned savings, but they also invariably add significant complexity to your financial life. I recall one client, a highly accomplished individual who had worked for many years on Wall Street and therefore had access to the most sophisticated and intricate investment options available. Yet, when he came to me for retirement planning, he had consciously sold off almost everything complex and had instead chosen to consolidate his investments primarily into simple, low-cost index funds. His rationale was clear. The fees and the inherent complexity of those advanced products simply weren't worth the perceived benefits. And here's an undeniable truth about investments. A lot of times, the more convoluted and complex an investment product is, the better it often is for the person selling it, rather than for the individual buying it. In the realm of retirement planning, simplicity and cost efficiency are almost always the winning strategies. This isn't just about decluttering your physical garage. It's profoundly about simplifying and decluttering your entire financial future. And while we're on the topic of simplifying your finances, I frequently observe many people who have their money scattered across 10 or even 15 different accounts held at multiple financial institutions. One of the strongest recommendations I can offer you is to begin the process of consolidation. Take all those various IRAs you might have and consolidate them into a single unified IRA. Gather all your accounts from various companies and aim to find one or two trusted financial institutions where you can consolidate everything under one roof. The more you can simplify your financial arrangements as you move into retirement, the significantly easier and less stressful you will make your life. Quick break to encourage likes and subscribes, then back to the list. Okay, I'm going to move on with the list now, but I genuinely appreciate every single person who takes the time to like and subscribe. It truly does help me understand that people enjoy and find value in this content, and it's excellent for the algorithms as well. Sell or get rid of your unused toys. Number 4 on our list, it's time to sell or simply get rid of those unused toys. Here, I'm talking about items like those large RVs that sit dormant for most of the year, boats that rarely touch water, ATVs, motorcycles, timeshares you no longer truly utilize, and that jet ski that has been gathering dust in your garage since, say, 2016. These recreational items typically lose value steadily over time, and perhaps more importantly, they usually come with some sneaky, ongoing costs. Think insurance, storage fees, maintenance, and registration, even when they're not in use. Selling them can provide your retirement fund with a welcome financial boost of cash, which you could then use to further build up your nest egg or perhaps apply towards paying off some lingering debt, giving you even greater financial freedom. But beyond the monetary benefits, letting go of these unused possessions can also evoke a powerful sense of emotional freedom. While this particular video isn't primarily about general home decluttering, I actually created a whole separate video on that topic a while back. If I were to add a sub-point here, it would certainly be about addressing the toys and other accumulated items in your garage and around your house that are simply taking up valuable space. Just like the older woman I used to visit, these things begin to take up not only literal physical space, but also mental space, subtly weighing on your mind. So, while I won't dive deep into comprehensive home decluttering here, do consider that all those items around your house that are just like the woman I used to go visit, they just begin to take up space. They take up mental space. They take up literal space. As a side note, I do have another entire video dedicated to home decluttering, including practical steps and how to navigate the often emotional process of letting go of items with sentimental attachment. I've heard repeatedly from people that once they take that courageous step and begin to declutter, they very rarely regret the profound feeling of freedom and lightness they experience afterward. Finally, we come to the fifth thing you might want to consider selling before retirement: your side business or rental property. It might finally be time to sell that long-standing side business or that rental property you've managed for years. These ventures have undoubtedly been excellent income streams, perhaps for a significant portion of your life. However, in retirement, they can sometimes transform into incredibly time-consuming, stressful obligations, effectively becoming an illiquid stress machine that drains your energy and peace of mind. I recall reading that phrase somewhere, and it perfectly encapsulates the feeling. It's a crucial time to ask yourself, does this particular endeavor still bring me genuine joy and fulfillment, or is it primarily generating additional paperwork and unnecessary stress in a phase of life meant for tranquility? Sometimes, making the strategic decision to sell, especially when the market conditions are strong and favorable, can brilliantly transform financial complexity into liberating simplicity. I had one client who sold their duplex and wisely used the proceeds not just for financial gain, but to profoundly simplify their entire life. No more late-night calls from tenants with plumbing emergencies at 2 a.m. They literally traded the physical bricks and mortar of that property for an invaluable exchange of reduced stress, newfound freedom, and profound peace of mind, and were able to use that money to support their retirement aspirations. There is absolutely nothing inherently wrong with running a side business, nor is there anything wrong with supporting your retirement through real estate investments. Countless people do it successfully. However, a couple of common issues I frequently observe are that people often become dangerously over-concentrated in a single asset class, placing all their financial eggs in one basket. Their entire retirement plan might be predicated on real estate continuing its strong performance, and rental units consistently remaining fully occupied. Furthermore, these types of assets tend to add significant layers of complexity to one's life. So it's worth a deep reflection. Is the inherent complexity and concentrated risk truly worth it for you in retirement? It might be, and that's perfectly fine. But it also might be the opportune moment to let it go and embrace a simpler path. And as I've emphasized throughout, this isn't for everyone, but it is certainly a valuable consideration. So those are just 5 concise yet impactful things you might seriously consider selling or divesting yourself of as you approach retirement. This isn't about deliberately depriving yourself or ruthlessly getting rid of every single item that holds meaning for you. Rather, it's fundamentally about creating more physical, financial, and mental space for the things that truly matter most in your life. As I mentioned earlier, if you approach it thoughtfully and deliberately, retirement is a transformative time to hit the reset button, to genuinely ask yourself profound questions. What do I truly want to do with my remaining life? What are my deepest values? It's an excellent period to reflect honestly on whether the house I own, the cars I possess, the clutter I've accumulated, and the recreational toys I have are things I genuinely want to carry forward into this exciting next stage of life. Or do I want to seize this opportunity as a time to reset, to reevaluate, and to redirect my focus toward what I actually care about most profoundly? Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I have 2 quick questions for you. What would be the single hardest thing for you to sell or let go of? And conversely, what do you imagine would be the most freeing thing for you to sell? Also, if you've already begun the process of selling things as you prepare for retirement, or if you've started to declutter or downsize, I would genuinely love to hear about your experience. Was it a positive decision? Did it prove challenging or negative? Please share your insights in the comments section as well. It's always incredibly valuable to hear directly from the people who watch this channel. I always make an effort to read all the comments, particularly early on after a video is released. Once a video truly takes off, it can be hard to keep up with every single one, but I do try my best. Your comments are not only helpful to me, but are also a wonderful resource for other viewers who read them and learn from shared experiences. So please leave those comments below. Finally, I've put together a convenient playlist that includes the 2 related videos I mentioned in this episode. 5 things you should buy as you prepare to retire, and another video I created perhaps a year ago on what to do if you need to declutter your home, offering practical steps for the process. You can find that playlist and watch both of those videos at your leisure.